Genshin has many contenders when it comes to who the top 5 meta all-stars are, so today I thought it'd be fun to decide who the best limited 5 stars in the entire game are. The ones that are worth your primos no matter the time of day or season. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. Starting off with number 5, we have our almighty father who is everlasting as the moon. This character is utterly insane for a multitude of reasons. First off, pure and simple, damage, and a lot of it. I find it genuinely absurd how much damage she's capable of doing with minimal investment. It's very easy to get her to an abyss clearing level, then when you do invest into her, holy macaroni, she decimates all content with just the snap of her fingers. Arlecchino is super easy to play, so anybody on any platform, whether that be PC, mobile, or Poop Station 4 or 5, I'd rather see 6 Ayato than buy this dude, is able to access her full potential. She's also incredibly adaptable, which makes it really easy to slot her into various different types of content. Chances are, she has an effective team which is able to deal with it. Think about it. Arla has numerous unique setups. Vaporize, Overload, Emily Burning, Monopyro, those are just a few. Plus, she isn't just flexible for the sake of it. Arlecchino is actually good in all these teams. Therefore, her variety is actually meaningful. Her free-to-play friendliness is wonderful too. Because of said variety, you'll have an easy time slotting her into your team with a young 3-month-old character roster, assuming you've pulled a couple of times. You can effectively play her with a white tassel, which is free out in the open. Let's hope you haven't accidentally recycled it yet. Plus, you can easily form effective 4-star teams with her. For example, Father, Book Guy, Unlucky Guy, and Chemical Fox can compose a pretty neat cheap vape team. Or even Everlasting as the Moon, Fischl, Chevris, and Bennett. Very neat stuff. And don't even get me started on how insane her vertical investment is. When someone ever asks, should I get XYZ to C2, and said character is not Arlecchino, I pretty much always respond that C2 Arla is way more worth it. That ease of use remains in her high investment playstyle, so she's very easy to pilot compared to other hyper investment characters such as C6 Gani or C6 Mualani. Furthermore, while C0 Furina isn't recommended with Arla, if you get C2 Plus on our beloved Hydro Archon, she becomes worth using with her, because while you can't heal Father consistently, the front-loaded damage bonus % buff is so strong, as in the duo will murder things so quickly that it literally doesn't matter anyway. It will reap all of your enemies' lives regardless. There are so few negatives to this character, she has it all. Genuinely one of the most valuable characters in the current era of Genshin Impact, for sure deserving of a spot on this list. Kazuha has remained as one of the best characters in the game ever since he was introduced. His shelf life is unfathomably amazing, because he has, by definition, stood the test of time. He fits into a ton of top meta teams right now. Arla comps, Lenny comps, Neuvillette ones too. There is an extreme amount of value to be found in his synergies. Plus, he works with good characters in general, such as Chloriander in both her Hyper and Aggravate teams, to name an example. There are an endless amount of synergies under this dude's belt. It is genuinely impossible to remove this dude from the meta. He is just that good. He can provide up to 30 to 40% damage bonus, depending on whether you care about ER or not, while also being able to proc the legendary 4VV set. But this is all common knowledge at this stage, and repeating stuff that we're all aware of. His C2 is such a sick increase to vape teams of any variety, with the biggest bonus being that he's a cutie patootie. Not as cute as Venti though. He has grouping, which is very convenient, but it's not any old grouping. Kazuha is able to effectively round up elite mobs, due to both the speed and strength of his suction. It also makes him very convenient in the overworld, which, come on man, that's a nice little quality to have. His own swirl damage, while nothing overly significant, is pretty cool too. A choice that both free-to-plays and whales alike can find an endless amount of value in. Seriously, he is the Kazu GOAT. Certainly deserving of a spot on this list. Unless he becomes totally irrelevant for future teams, I wholeheartedly believe that bro is not dropping out of the big leagues anytime soon. Then we get onto the top 3, starting with Xilonen. You know why she's good? Because she's essentially Kazuha too. I don't want to spend too long on this section because I've made like 50 Xilonen videos by this stage, which all say similar things. To briefly summarize, a whole lot of res shred, which is near 4VV level if you've maxed your skill, a whole lot of front-loaded damage bonus % buffing at C0 0 from 4-piece Intercity in her signature. She can heal a good amount, which equals indirect buffing via fanfare. Her res shred uptime is a lot longer than 4VV, lasting for up to 20 seconds, and she does not replace Kazuha, but instead works together with him in teams such as Neuvillette's Celestia Killer comp. Her C2 is wild. Neuvillette is ending the universe as we currently know it. She's the Navia buffer that I've been waiting for all this time, being her new best in slot teammate no matter the situation if you simply use the Spina leader's burst later on during your rotation. I've discussed all of these topics more in depth on my channel if you want a closer look at Xilonen's abilities, but I think we all get it at this stage. She's busted, putting her a little above Kazuha thanks to her healing plus longer red shred uptime, making her a little more intuitive. More damage percent buffing than him too if you own Peak Patrol Song, though she is not better than him by some absurd margin. Notice how I talked about a certain Hydro Dragon a few times there. Listen, I will give you a grilled cheese sandwich if you can name me a DPS team that does more damage than the Celestia Killer comp. Xilonen's release made this team, which was already something else when Cinder City Kachina became a thing, so hilariously busted to the point where no other damage dealer can come close anymore. Listen man, let me put this into perspective for you. Before, there was a genuine discussion to be had regarding who the best DPS in the game was. Arlecchino for her very high numbers, which rivaled, dare I say, potentially surpassed Neuvillette's. Past tense, by the way, rivaled. Linny, due to his superior single target capabilities coupled with his obscenely high potential when put in the hands of a good player. Muolani, due to the fact that she's totally shredding the speedrunning scene. Yeah, after we got this team, no more debates, no more cigars, no more grilled cheeses. Neuvillette wins. Always. It's ridiculous how much damage he can deal for minimal effort. That is one of the key things when it comes to why he's so good. He does an absurd amount of DPS for literally no effort investment. Just spam his charge attack, then booyah. You've cleared a chamber in 20 to 30 seconds. Have fun with your Primo Gems. He is the most turn brain off button in the entire game. Literally, because his main damage source is a singular button. Before he was balanced, quote unquote, hardly, in the way that his single target damage would not be as high as an Arlecchino's or a well-controlled Vape Linny. Single target DPSs would still be the best in their field, yet with the cat around, out the window. His raw damage is so high to the point where even dedicated single target legends are utterly cooked in comparison to him. He doesn't require any reactions, any real knowledge of strategies, or anything honestly. Slap bro on a P-Amber and then cancel the game in its entirety. Neuvillette is officially the Cynthia of Genshin Impact, aka the strongest of their entire verse. Will solo anything and anyone, including you. I actually don't know what Hoyoverse was thinking when they decided to let this Neuvillette buff happen, and if you're Xilonen C2, dude, let's just say that this is the closest thing we are ever getting to auto-battling being a thing in Genshin Impact. Neuvillette really does have full authority, not just over the seas, but over the entire damn universe. Game balance is over, guys. Pack up, time to go home before he decides to settle down all over the place and then we all get humbled. Before we move on to number 1, who is honestly really predictable, let's be honest, we should discuss some honorable mentions that couldn't make it into the list. Xilonen was previously in my top 5 before Xilonen came out. She forms the strongest double hydro core Furina, is one of the most flexible 5 stars in the game, and has a slew of fantastic applications in plenty of teams. She is still really worth it to this day, and I was debating slotting her at number 5 instead of Arlecchino. I think you could make an argument for either or, considering how powerful double hydro Furina Xilonen is. Linny nearly does as much damage as Arla, but I find that his dad is way more adaptable to way more teams, is better in AoE than him as Linny is more of a single target centric carry, and most importantly, Linny is really hard to play if you're either slow reaction time or if you play on either mobile or poop station, but his numbers are genuinely fantastic, so it'd feel disingenuous to not speak about him at all in a video about the best limited 5-star characters in the game. Before anybody mentions Muolani, Linny is a lot easier to pilot more consistently than her, so even if she reaches higher peaks, reaching said peaks is not as easy as doing so with the Magician's King. Now that we have Xilonen out, Navia is a must mention. Her DPS was already no joke before, but this finally provided her the edge she needed to compete with some of the game's absolute best DPSs. Arla has some better high investment in my opinion, along with having a wider variety of teams, which is what gives Father the edge. But do not underestimate the power of Navia. She's a lot closer to the top DPSs than you might think. That wraps up all of our honorable mentions. Now on to number 1. So, the best limited 5-star character in the game is How? Nah, just kidding. Obviously, it's Furina. I think we all saw this coming. I feel like such a Captain Obvious for this placement because anybody could have seen it coming from a mile away. I've never been a big fan of super predictable top 5s, but our beloved Lady Furina is far too amazing in the meta to be ranked anywhere below number 1. She's got it all. Incredibly high buffing, really good sub DPS, gives any DPS ever the chance to use 4-piece mayonnaise hunters, supports and is buffed literally every single conceivable team under the sun, has an absolutely wild constellation lineup which somehow manages to upgrade a near-perfect character, and is on the whole, the perfect 5-star. She healed the reputation of healers, funnily enough, despite being the HP drainer of the team, as she provided sustenance a way to be offensively effective. Before, it was always a straight-up DPS loss to have a healer by your side. Nowadays, fanfare buddy, let's frickin' go. She supports the ultimate Celestia killer, while also working with the likes of Arlo when she has constellations. She's also totally bomb for Lenny. It's literally stronger for the Magician's King to use our beloved Hydro Archon for damage bonus % plus vaping as opposed to completely filling out his super valuable mono pyro passive. That should be enough to speak for itself, no? Sure, she has her flaws. Stealing vapes due to her 3 little guys being somewhat inconsistent with their Hydro app, her buff is quite backloaded at C0, she, kinda hard to talk about flaws when it comes to the best character in the entire game, dude. I don't consider needing a healer to be too much of a flaw, because most teams would have had Bennett or some other kind of sustenance in their team anyways. Her flexibility is absurd. It doesn't matter what stage of the game you're at, or whether you want to spend or not, you'll be able to make effective use of the character because of how wildly powerful she is everywhere. The amount of characters who cannot utilize her effectively are very few in amount, as damage bonus % is one of the most universal buffs in the game. Doesn't matter what your main DPS skill's on, Furina will indeed be able to assist them in their quest to dominate the lands. Don't even get me started on C6 Furina. On my account, I'm a C6 Furina main, as anybody who has been watching me for the past few months may know. Even if she's not the hardest hitting C6 because of the likes of Neuvillette, Arlecchino and such, she still feels like one of the best hyper-investment characters in the game. Her DPS teams hit astronomically hard, true, but how about the fact that you can slaughter anywhere and make that team clear? Every character becomes the best in the game when C6 Furina joins the team, and the fact that her hard-hitting normal attacks heal everyone means that healers aren't even needed anymore. I should probably stop here before I begin to go off on an infinite Furina tangent, but you get the idea. This character is nuts at any investment stage. You can make plenty of arguments for certain characters being one of the best, but I feel like that this is a pretty logical and reasonable list. There will probably be some placements or honorable mentions that you disagree with, and that's fine. At the end of the day, what matters is whether the placement at least makes some modicum of sense. How about yourself? What is your personal top 5, and do you have any honorable mentions to sing the praises of? Let me know down below in the comments. Hopefully this video was able to tell you who the best 5 limited 5 stars are in Genshin Impact. This has been Juice, signing out, and remember to drink 8 glasses of water a day, or else Neuvillette, the incarnation of water and holding the charge attack button down itself, may find you, subjecting you to judgment beyond even the divine authorities. Beware of the Yurux and his 3 legends.